But I've been working in Africa since 2002, and I first met Vernon when he was 22 years old. It seems like a long time ago, but then a short time. So from 2002 to 2019, I spent many years traveling to and working in South Sudan. And those kids, we help them. The ones that God has called and elected are now have roles managing different things we do in the HVG and Arua. So they're all even electrician we worked with in South Sudan. He does our electrical work. The guy that does our Jesus film work was saved in the Jesus film showing 15 years ago. So it all continues. Even though those years were tough in some ways, they taught me a great deal about ministry and suffering and resilience of God's people. I mean, this is hard work, but the Lord is with us and he will continue to work through us if we let him do that. But about the Shine program, that's the main one I'm working on now. In 2020, I felt the Lord leading me back to Africa after a year that I spent not doing anything in 2020, 2019 through early 20. After talking with Vernon and Mike, we developed what is now the Shine program. The design of this program was skillfully done. It was based on my part was based on all I learned in the previous 20 years. It grew through the creativity of the leaders HVG is raised up. So we were very thankful that they could have input from bottoms up, not just top down. The idea to help disabled Ugandans came from Isaac, one of the orphans who had been burned in a fire but restored through surgery through HVG. Now he's our key leader in Arua under Mike. The idea to use the Jesus film came from Mary, one of our social workers. And again, we got that Jesus film guy that helps us we knew him in South Sudan. But Shine is not just a program, it's a collaboration between HVG leadership, local Uganda leaders, and the people we serve. We all work together. We all have input. We don't just force something down somebody's throat. We're working together as a collaboration. About accountability and stewardship that Lloyd was talking about. We have firm accounting procedures in place to prevent corruption, and that's what I have to have based on all my work in South Sudan. That was something I had to have. So I personally review the books every time I travel until this year, and I can confidently say this program is well designed. It has less overhead than any of the big programs that you receive mail solicitations from. Sometimes those big programs, the overhead is, you never know. You really don't know how big it is, but it's big. Your donations are used carefully, wisely, and with integrity. So what about our programs that we do? I've counted at least 14 services that we provide. We help disabled Ugandans. We call them our Shine Friends and their caregivers. Together, we serve about 1,800 people. Well, the first thing we do is evangelism using the Jesus film and hut-to-hut personal evangelism. Evangelism has always been one of my priorities in South Sudan, and it is here. When I'm out in the villages, I test everyone to see if they know Jesus. I now give a gospel presentation to almost everyone I've talked to in the villages. Not only do the Shine friends hear it, but also their neighbors that gather around. So we're touching a lot more people than even His Voice Global is telling you. I'm probably touching another 1,000 people, just neighbors that come along and they listen to what you're saying when you're talking to the Shine friends. Most of the decisions for Christ are coming from the neighbors, not from the Shine friends or their support group. It's funny how hearing the gospel affects people. Some people get up and immediately run away. Some people chase me down to hear the gospel after they hear that I'm in the village. They'll chase me down and say, please help me. The other thing we do is Bible study groups at the Shine Friends homes. These involve studying a book in the Bible by hearing it from devices called the Proclaimer, which is solar power. Then questions are asked at the end by the leader with participation from the group. And these people participate. They really do. It's been surprising. The third thing I do is Bible distribution to those we confirm can read. We see if people can read by testing them to see if they can read before we give them a Bible. As some people may want a Bible just to sell it. So we're even checking on that. And then the number 4 thing, eyeglasses for those who can read but need help. 2 years ago, after a Bible study was over, several women came up to me and said, we can read and we want a Bible, but we can't see the words. And I went, oh, man, why didn't I think of this earlier? So when I go, I put on my optometrist cap and fit glasses. And then the next thing we do, and this is one of the big programs, is careful food distribution. I'm told over and over again by the Shine friends that they would be dead without this food distribution. So that's a big part of our budget. The next biggest part of our budget is physical therapy. Since we serve disabled people, this is a huge part of the program. This therapy has had near miracles as the disabled improve. And I'm drawn back to where Jesus said, "Tell John that the ones that are disabled can walk now." I mean, this is something that Jesus is really wants us to do, and he's really blessing. The next thing is water filters. We check these monthly to prevent infections such as typhoid or cysts or other waterborne diseases. And one time we went. This was 2 years ago, and I went, and this lady said the filter won't work anymore. She was pressing a stick through there, and we said that's not going to work. You need to leave the filter in there. So they need people coming constantly to train them on how to use these things. The other thing is big, and you wouldn't think about it, is $14 a month prescriptions for the Shine Friends. And this protects the Shine Friends against UTIs, malaria. We got, in fact, a survey of 60 of our Shine Friends and found out what they were sick with by doing blood tests. So we're carefully trying to help them. This is audited. I've been at the audits. We go to the pharmacy. We make sure the client showed up. We make sure that was actually spent. We talk to the people to make sure they were actually sick. Then surgeries when needed is number 9. One lady was dying in childbirth, and we paid for a hospital to do a C-section. She would have just died, and I know Amber's familiar with that case. Number 10 is grass roof repairs to keep out the rain. I mean, it sounds like a little thing, but it's really a big thing when you're sitting in a grass hut and it's raining on you, especially if you're crippled. The other thing is new houses, number 11, with cement floors and metal roofs, especially needy Shine Friends. And we're doing that for like $15 a square foot. I mean, it's unbelievably cheap. Then number 12, pit latrines with a lockable door. I mean, this is really important. This is so the Shine Friends no longer have to crawl through filth. You can imagine probably a third or 40% of our Shine Friends just crawl around the ground, and that's just really important. The 13th thing is trauma counseling. And this is a cheap program. It's like $2,000, yet it's big because there's a big forgiveness problem in Africa. All these people live together, and the relatives live next door, and they can hear everything going on through the grass huts. And so there's a lot of squabbling and problems that happen. So this counseling really helps that. The 14th thing I have listed is Shine Kids Day at Rise, and that's put on by Megan Elkins, and that kind of lifts up these Shine Friends. This is a holistic program, spiritual, physical, emotional, and practical care. So what's my personal role? I am a donor again to HVG. I've been traveling there twice a year now. I'm trying to go twice a year because I want to go through all of our Shine Friends and get to witness to all of them. I focus on personal evangelism, classes, Bible distribution. I go hut to hut to give everyone at least one chance to know Jesus. Doesn't everyone deserve at least one chance to know Jesus? I think they do, especially the ones we're serving. We have to do that. And so I've covered 80% of the Shine Friends are caregivers and many of their neighbors. We have a personal relationship. They pray for me. I pray for them. They are my friends. I tell them, Jesus sent me to help you. They didn't believe me, but now they do. I first met Albert, one of our Shine Friends, in 2022. He had cerebral palsy and was crawling around on the ground. His grass hut leaked, and he had a long way to crawl to the pit latrine. He planted crops crawling around, which was amazing, but he did. He asked me in the Lugbara language. We're ministering to the Lugbara tribe, and most of those people don't speak English. Why did God allow this to happen to me? And I said, well, Jesus sent me from America to help you. And he looked at me with disbelief, like, I'm never going to see you again. However, he saw me again and again. As 4 years have passed, he tells me things he won't even tell the social workers. Now he has a business selling a few items. He leads a Bible study group, and he has his own pit latrine so he doesn't have to crawl through other people's excrement. Now about the blessing of giving. I feel immensely blessed. This is just so joyful. I walk around joyful every day that I can work with HVG to help these people. Acts 20:35 said, it is more blessed to give than receive. And that is so true. I mean, it's so true. I've seen this truth lived out in Uganda. in the joy, the gratitude, and the transformation happening among our Shine friends. Finally, gratitude to you donors. Thank you for donating to His Voice Global. Your generosity is changing lives. I see it. It's big. It's huge, spiritually, physically, and eternally. You'll see these people in heaven, and they'll thank you personally. So thank you for letting me speak today.